This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome in, my friends, to another episode of Behind the Pen. My name is Mike Rankin, and I don't know why Brandon Swanson's giving me that look.
It's not, we've only tried this 15 times today. This has honestly,
what are you talking
I think
about? This is the first time.
This is the golden time, though. This is it. I feel it.
What do you mean this is it? This is the first time ever. I'm Mike Rankin, your host. I'm joined by Ricky Widmer, Brandon Swanson. As I said, we have a camera here. You're welcome. And I'm so excited for this podcast, guys, because we have so much to talk about. And before we get into everything, the most important thing is to plug our Patreon page right now, because patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast is so important to us. It allows us to do exciting things like this, have a camera on us, show my beautiful face, and Brandon Swanson. Ricky, well, I'm digging your beard. I'm digging your beard.
I gotta shave it. I've heard mixed reviews.
don't shave it. The mixed review would be, don't shave it. That would be the number one view, folks. You want to see Ricky Widmer go back about 10 years, maybe 12. Well, you don't. You just don't. Let me tell you.
So we have a lot on tap for today's show, and we're going to focus mainly on baseball, but I'm going to get into some Bears at the end of the show, so stick around if you're on SoundCloud. Thank you very much. But we're gonna start with the All Star Game, guys, because the MLB All Star Game, it means something, and it has meant something for a long time. And if you haven't, followed baseball really at all, the winner of the All Star Games gets home field advantage in the World Series. Now, is this important? Well, kind of, because the last 6 of the last 7 World Series winners had home field advantage, and and the American League has won 11 of the last 14 All-Star games. So, yeah, those are basic numbers and basic stats, but that tells a story. Now, we're going to get into both of your opinions, and I'm going to have mine as well. I'm going to start with you, Ricky. What do you think of this rule, and do you think it's justice for the game? Because, obviously, this implication wants the game to be more competitive instead of more like a celebrity All-Star game.
I hate it. And I absolutely hate. I am all the way to the hate side of this game determining home field advantage for the World Series. And the reason why I hate it is you get guys like, if this is supposed to be the game that means something, why isn't Jake Arrieta pitching? Why are all these players dropping out? Like, I get why they're dropping out. Jake Arrieta is one of them, wants some more rest, which me as a Cub fan, I am all fine with. I am fine with him getting the rest, make sure he's better and rested for a second half push. But if I'm coming down to an October series and my team had the better record and didn't get home field advantage because of this game, it's complete bullshit. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is this is supposed to be a game like Terry Collins. I love the mindset that he had. He says every single uniform needs to be represented in this game. Exactly. If it didn't mean anything.
Sure.
But that's how it should be. It shouldn't mean that much. The way I look at it is you do what the NHL does. Say, you know what? Here's a cash prize. The winning team gets to split it up. Yeah. But however, the one thing I will contradict myself, only 3 times since 2003 when this was put into effect, only 3 times has the team with the best record not been from the team that won the All-Star game.
Well, I just want to piggyback off some things that you said, and you made a good point that teams care more about the regular season and more about where they want to go in terms of where they want to go in the playoffs. So they restrict their players from, going more than 2 innings if they're a starter. And we saw Terry Collins kind of rely on Johnny Cueto early in the game, and he left him in, and then they got crushed, and then that kind of influenced the rest of the ball game. And you also mentioned that he wants to get everybody in, and that kind of contradicts the whole competitive part of the game. Yeah, all these guys are all-stars, but you want the best lineup on the field if it means something this important.
If it means you're going to have home field in that World Series.
And when you mentioned the NHL All-Star Game, the cash prize, guy, that's a different market. The NHL, they play for that because they don't make enough money.
MLB could easily do that too.
But the MLB, guys, they don't have a salary cap in the MLB. These players are making millions and millions and millions of dollars.
So you're saying that just because they make millions already, that people don't like free money?
Because they did this back in the 70s and the 80s when they gave the cash prizes to the MLB All-Star winner. They wanted to be the MVP because they're getting they're still getting cars and stuff now, but it doesn't mean as much as it did back in the day. It's a different game. We live in a different culture. I'm interested in
Aren't we trying to make baseball fun again? Isn't that what Bryce Harper wants to
It
do?
is. I think it goes beyond the All-Star game, though, because it keeps you interested, especially with the young players throughout the season. That's what makes the game fun. The All-Star game is just different. I want to hear your thoughts, Brandon.
You know, I from a very young age, I've always been a huge baseball fan. Always loved baseball, love it. I always saw it as, you know, this is how you get the fan involved. You know, it's supposed to be the fan vote, you know, all this stuff, and then you have the final vote. The fans have the opportunity to go do that. They have the fun hashtags, everything like that. As a fan for the longest time, and I still kind of have that mindset because it's one I've always had, I'm not thinking about who gets the home field advantage. I'm thinking about I want my team, the AL, to win. You know, well, I say my team, the AL. My team is in the AL.
That's
So
where your team is.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't think of the implication of it going forward. You know, I don't think of that. I think, you know, I want to get having 1, 2, 3 of my players in there's pretty cool that they're going to be able to participate. But I think overall, I enjoy the Midsummer Classic, but let me tell you, I don't think that for a lot of casual fans, it doesn't matter to them. They want to see, you know, they're a Cub fan, they want to see all the Cubs in there because that's freaking cool. You got your guys, means they're some of the best right now in baseball. I don't think a lot of people are really looking at how big of this implication is. There's one thing. If you want to do something and you want it to be just based on what the fans think, what the fans want, then you do that. That could be something separate. But if there's going to be something where this means a lot, if you want to put a lot of emphasis on a game like this, then you have to do something different where you have the absolute best players in that game, but they have to play. And that's the thing that's what it comes down to, is that this is not one of those things. A lot of guys, they want the break. A lot of guys want the break.
Absolutely.
And a lot of guys enjoy having the break, going out there for a couple of days, spending it with their guys, supporting them in the home run derby or the All-Star game, whatever it might be. But they're chilling. You know, they're not. They know they're not in the All-Star game. They're not playing. They choose not to be there, but they're going to go and support their guys. Well, I think those could be two separate things, but I don't think it can be.
The one thing I want to piggyback off of you is everything that you talk about. Do I agree with you? Yes. Like, it's supposed to be fun. You get the fan vote. You get to vote for your guys. Did I love seeing an infielder of almost all Chicago Cubs?
It was.
You're damn betting I was. However, if you're going to have that, and because you said, oh, well, the casual fan doesn't think about that, then why the fuck does it decide home field advantage? Why?
All right, I'm gonna throw this out there, and I mean, this doesn't really reflect the game itself, but it's just to put it in a little bit of perspective here. Did you know that this year's All-Star Game was the worst TV ratings in terms of MLB All Star Games in the history of baseball since they've been airing the All Star Game?
I did not know
the worst TV ratings.
I honestly, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if it's if the All-Star Game, for as long as I can remember, if it would be of big sports things, if it's not one of the worst. People aren't watching.
Nah, I'm going to disagree there. I'm going to disagree there because nobody watches the Pro Bowl. Nobody, hold on.
But think about the days they are on. This is a Tuesday.
It's 7 o'clock. It's prime time.
I know, but think about it. NBA, weekend. What are people doing on the weekend? Probably nothing. The Pro Bowl on the weekend. The NHL All-Star
It's just a
Game
lack of
on
interest.
the
It's not too much of scheduling, in my opinion.
I think that goes into it because on a weeknight, people get home from work and it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go to bed. I got work tomorrow.
Really quickly, then you say it's a lack of interest as a marketing person for the MLB and for stuff like that.
Change.
What do you do to market it better? If you're gonna keep it on the day, what do you do to market it better? That's the thing.
I'm not blaming Major League Baseball for their lack of marketing or whatever because I think they did a fantastic job, a fantastic production of the All-Star Game, the entire All-Star week, whatever the last few days. The Futures game was fun. Home run. It's just the fact that fans aren't as interested in baseball as, say, football and basketball, that's the reason for the ratings. And you know what else is funny? Last year's ratings was the former worst of all time. And now this year beat it. So we're in a trend now where you want to get fans interested, but is it the right decision to have this game mean so much if it's not being played right? Going back to what our main conversation was.
Well, the one thing before I touch that I also want to throw out there.
Yeah.
This is the only All-Star Game that happens in a time of the year where the weather's nice. I'm going to go out and do something. Think about February where we see the NBA game. We live in Chicago. I ain't fucking going outside in February. It's cold as shit. But for the Pro Bowl, it's also cold as shit here in Chicago. The NHL game, it's not as cold, but it's still not as nice as it is now. So I think that's also, am I saying that's the reason? No, but that could be an implication of people, it's lighter for longer.
I get
Maybe
it.
people
I get
want
what
to
you're
go out
saying.
and do stuff, but to get back to the main point, I absolutely hate that this counts for home field advantage. And I know what I said at the beginning. You're probably saying, but Ricky, you said since 2003, only 3 teams, the Cardinals twice, and who did the Giants play? I want to say it was either, I think it was the Rangers. That was it. The Cardinals and the Rangers. Those were the only 3 years where in the year the Giants played the Rangers had the better overall record. Well, the NL won, so that's why the Giants had home field. And both times the Cardinals played, I want to say it was they were both playing the Red Sox. Red Sox had home field advantage, even though the Cardinals had a better record. And the microcosm, and I know what you're saying, but Ricky, it's only one World Series out of 13. I look back to the 2004 World Series. That was the one where the curse was going to be broken. Well, how much of a different script would it have been if the Red Sox, coming off their heater against the Yankees, didn't get to play 2 games at Fenway to start the series? If they had to travel to St. Louis,
that was the ALCS.
to play
that had no implication in the home field.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying carryover momentum from coming down 0-3. Now you get to play at home game 1 and 2 in the World Series. That to me is like, you know what? It would have been different if they would have had to go to St. Louis.
Well, here's an interesting point: is I think that look at what they did last year with the home run derby. They knew that needed to change.
I love it.
They knew that
fun.
needed to change.
It is fun.
It is fun. It's exciting. They have made it fun again. You know, it's not just guys sitting there we could be there for 3 hours if one guy doesn't get 10 outs. I like that. The system that they've gone to. I like that they believe that something was broken, they needed to fix it. It's much better than our government because that's just a different story.
We're not touching that.
No, because it's too much. But I think that when you take a look at that, you then look over and go, okay, we fixed this. This is better. This is better. How do we now fix this All-Star game to make it be what we want it to be? If we want it to be a fan vote, let's have fun. Let's enjoy this week, have a fun week. Let's do that. But if we want it to be this competitive, we want the best of the best playing in this, then let's do that. But I don't, honestly, at the end of the day, I don't know which one we do. Well, I don't know which one we do because
I know it's different.
What are you looking for?
Here's what I'm going to throw out there. I know it's a different sport. I know you can't do it the exact same as them. But from this past year, the only All-Star game out of the 4 I've watched this entire calendar year that I loved all the way through, the NHL. They fucking hit it.
It was different. They had tournaments.
They fucking hit it. They had the 3 little games.
Sure.
What
can you do in the MLB like that?
I mean, you can have it be one game, but I think they need to look at the NHL. Look at what they did and said, let's have that kind of just excitement.
But you can look at the NHL all you want. You're kind of limited in what you can do with the MLB All Star Game. Look, Major League Baseball is built on tradition, and the average age of the casual baseball fans are 59 or 60. That's really old, and they're trying to go younger. They're trying to attract younger audiences. But the ultimate conversation we have to have is at the end of the day, the All Star Game is just a game to parade the best talent in the game.
How about do the fantasy draft idea that the NHL did? Then we can kill one bird.
Separate leagues?
Well, no. We can kill the one bird and say, fuck it.
Well, you can't do that because it's a fan vote.
The World
That's
Series,
the whole point.
Well, no, here's what it does. I'm going to lay this out right now. Number 1, we get rid of this home field advantage shit because it wouldn't work. Great. The second thing you do is you have a fan vote for the fans are picking the players that they want in the game. Then you take that pool of players, and we're going to have a fantasy draft on top of that player.
The healthy
and the
balance,
coaches get to pick
Ricky,
their captains.
Let me say something. The healthy balance of why the All-Star Game is so successful and why the right players are in the All-Star Game is because the fans don't get to pick the reserves, and they also don't get to pick the pitchers.
You want the AL just to dominate each and every year?
The AL is a better league, period.
No, I know. And why this way we do it this way and it balances things.
It doesn't balance things because you have to restrict each league, right? I understand. You want to get the fans involved. They're involved I feel like they're at the most influence that they can make is right now.
And you don't need to involve them anymore.
Starters.
You can just do the same thing you're doing, except the fantasy draft comes from the actual people. The way the NHL did it. Here's your 2 captains, and those 2 captains got to pick their teams. It was not the fans.
I gotta jump in here. You keep going back to the NHL way too much. Baseball's not going to go on something the NHL did. It's just
I'm just going back to it because that's the All Star Game. That even though I don't watch hockey a ton, maybe I watched that All Star Game and I'm like, holy shit! Did I have a fun time watching this game?
But the thing is that each different league has what works for them. You know, the MLB
they have restrictions,
feels like they have what works for them.
Hockey
feels like they have what works for them. NBA has what they think works for them and stuff like that. They're going to have to work it. If they want to change it themselves, they're going to have to change under their own rules, under their own guidelines, under something that they want to do. I don't think that they'll look at something like that and say, we're going to follow what hockey does.
Well, and because I'm not hockey could be follow it.
You are, though. You are. I mean, we watched this back. If you watch this back, he said, follow what hockey did. If you take what hockey did, so he's a liar.
You're restricted to with the MLB.
That's the
then
problem.
What would you do? Since you said you're a huge you're a baseball fan.
I'm telling you what I would do is I would take either make it this is going to be fun and we do something else to find out who's going to be the home field advantage. I couldn't get that out of my mouth, but AL or NL
needs to be thrown away.
And you make
completely.
It just. I honestly I like what they're doing with what they're doing right now. Probably minus AL or NL home field advantage because it's fun right now. It's fun for the players. It's people I think have enjoyed it. So that game may not be the biggest. Home run derby I think is bigger, especially for the people there. The people there are selling out. It's huge, but. I just don't know about the
final thoughts here on the MLB All Star Game. We don't want to keep you here all day on this, but if you're still listening, thank you very much. We appreciate it. But I just want to say this, guys. At the end of the day, it's just a game to showcase the talent. Now, I agree with you. I don't think that this implication is necessary to have the home field advantage go to the winner of the All Star Game because there are too many variables going into it. We talked about managers influencing the game and having control over the players that they play. You're not managing it like a game that means something very important. So it kind of takes away from the value of that. Like I said, guys, with the All-Star Game, the fan vote is great because it gets them interested.
I love it.
At the end of the day, though, it just comes as a lack of interest throughout the fan base. They're not watching. They want to make the game more competitive so more people can watch. The game hasn't really changed. It's competitive still. And still no fans are watching.
I don't know how you make it more competitive, though.
You can't.
More competitive from what it is right now.
Right.
How do you make it more competitive? Don't answer. We'll be here 10 more minutes.
It's just it's a difficult conversation.
Well, I was just gonna say, do they need to reinvent the wheel? No. But my biggest change is what I said at the beginning: get that home field shit out of the All-Star Game. It's got no place being there.
I agree. What do you think, Brandon? You think you're okay with the current structure?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the best team's gonna win anyways. At the end, no. Oh gosh, I said the best team. Not maybe the luckiest, but no. I think it's the best team in the playoffs when they get on the hot streak. It is going to be that best team, and that it doesn't have anything to do with home field advantage. They will win.
The
no matter
only
what.
reason I disagree with that part where you said home field doesn't matter is because in baseball. How do they break up the World Series?
It's
2-3-2.
Yeah.
And for me, it's 2-3-2. 2-3-2. It's different. So because you get those last 2 games, you get Game 6 and Game 7 if you're the home team. Nuh-uh, that's too much of an advantage to put on an All-Star Game.
All right. Overall, I guess hopefully we put that in a decent perspective for you guys. We're trying our best here.
We gave him a brain aneurysm, I think is what we gave him.
The All-Star Game is a very, very tough subject to hit because what can you do to make this game better? Now, we're not trying to solve it. We're just trying to talk about it.